This year, Usher's performing at the Super Bowl, and I'm actually expecting one of the best or worst performances of all time. So I thought I would rank the 10 best and worst Super Bowl performances of all time. So the first thing we obviously have to talk to is the moment that defined this performance. See, Jada had a nice intro. She came out very good. Had a big hit at the time. I love that. This song's great. You know, this performance starts out just fine. Got clean dance moves. Great stage presence. You see, the thing is, Janet is not the problem here. And there's actually none of the problems with this performance. The problem begins with the guests. See, first you got Diddy on the moving platform. You see the problem with this. Do I have to really explain it? Okay, and so some hip hop representation is totally not bad. But here's the thing about the hip hop representation in 2004. But in 2004, there was a certain hip hop artist. So then he starts doing this in the middle of the Janet Jackson concert. And you can't say he's not rapping. He's rapping. So then when we go back to Janet, now she becomes part of the randomness. Like, Janet was great before, but now we have this whole bodies melting looking weirdness going on. And we go into freaking Rhythm Nation from here. So, like, she can do this however she wants to do it. Except there possibly might be one way that she wasn't able to do it now that we have hindsight in our favor. But then Justin Timberlake comes in with the beatbox. And he's here for such a short amount of time, too. I hate that this happened for everybody. And I hate to do it. But 10 on my best list is also, it's Justin from 2018. The haters gonna say what the haters gonna say. But the truth about this performance is at this point in Justin's career, he's been here before. He's been here 3 times at this point. And he knows how to handle this moment. There's a lot of performances that are better than this one that are going to be on this list. But Justin's clean. I mean, he had some low moments as well. The major criticism I give to this performance, while I definitely can say a lot of positive things about it, no guests. Justin should have known to have some guests. But on that note, I'll segue that into the best moment of the performance. When it comes to the best performances, location is important. And this Super Bowl was held in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And it's also about respecting the stage and the fact that you're the only artist of the entire year that gets to headline the Super Bowl. You kind of get to be the coolest person on the planet for 15 minutes, and you should act like that's what you're here to do. And if you are in Minnesota, one of the ways you could be the coolest person on the planet is by paying homage to one of the coolest people ever. You know we can't get through this list without talking about him more than once. Great moment by Justin. This is really where he earns his spot as number 10 on my best list. And in contrast, it's just, well, let's look at number 9 on my worst. It's just that sometimes there's a lot less respectful performances to the stage. So number 9, we have Jennifer Lopez and Shakira. And now among the worst list, just like Janet, there's some good things going on here. I think we all know what a lot of people probably like about this performance. You know, like if I had to put it in a moment, this part right here. But I also just want to point out we got terrible lip syncing and just I'm not against looking sexy at the Super Bowl. I'm just against the excessiveness. Let me show you the opposite example. We seen Shakira, but why? I don't know. By the time we get further in this, it just becomes J-Lo and her sex slaves. Just it's look, I'm not saying she don't look good. I'm just saying it's a little weird in the middle of the Super Bowl. I will give her some credit for the American, Latin American cultural representation that they had going on here. But that's about the like good things I can say about it. So we're gonna move on. Oh, did I say that was the only good thing? So for number 9 on my best list, I have a controversial choice. I have Bruno Mars. There's a lot of pros and cons I'm able to discuss about this performance. For one, did not kill the intro. And for 2, did kill the intro. So, hear me out on this one. I understand we're all probably thinking this is a little weird at this point. And I'm going to give that to anybody who has that opinion. But this is kind of cool. So he killed the intro, and he killed the intro. It's an important part of the performance. But throughout his performance, Bruno Mars stays in pocket. He's clean. He's respectful of the stage. He looks good. He looks cool. He understands his opportunity. He got the gold jackets. So why do people criticize this performance? Because it is on my best list, but it is a controversial choice for my best list. Now, Bruno, his whole part of the performance is amazing. I don't know what people expected from the Red Hot Chili Peppers, because this feels very on brand to me. But this is where a lot of people lose it for them. Only thing I don't love about this performance, and once again, it kills it, but it kills it. You got the Broncos logo, my favorite team, with the Seahawks in the background, which makes me remember what Super Bowl this was. NFL fans know. They do start to blur the line between cool and cringe, though, especially with some of this camera work that goes on during their performance. But I don't know. We're going to move on. At number 8 on my worst list, worse than Shakira and J-Lo, is New Kids on the Block. I'll give them a pass in a slight sense for being in the pre-Michael Jackson era. And I don't put too many pre-Michael Jackson era performances on this list, which is kind of a compliment because they did well enough to look like a real halftime show, but it's a real cringe halftime show. Now that is just cringe. So somehow we end up going into It's a Small World After All, and I'm just done here at this point. Can we be done? So number 8, we got Bruce Springsteen. There's not a ton to say about this performance. I just recommend that if you question me putting it here, you watch it. He's just got something about him, man. I gotta give Bruce his props. He's number 8 on the best list. He's killer. He's just a good performance. Alright, I'm not even gonna talk about it that much. It checks the boxes. The thing about Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band is that Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band is a well-oiled machine. And they were kind of what the football fan in 2009 would probably want. But a lot of things started changing at this point. Some of these old artists from like my parents' age and day, they were hired to do the Super Bowl at this point in time. And it didn't have the vibe the way that Bruce had the vibe. But Bruce did have the vibe and earned his spot. The contrast here is to number 7 on my worst list. Worse than New Kids on the Block is The Who. New Kids on the Block, I think, is the start of my actively bad list. So I just want to point out that these bad performances start to actually hurt my ears from the first note. So sometimes what you have with these classic legendary acts, they just can't do it like they used to do it. It don't sound like the record, don't sound clean no more. You start to wonder if he messes up on guitar a couple times. So all I'm really saying is there's a right way and a wrong way to do the classic rock act, or to segue into my next choice, the classic act at the Super Bowl. At number 7 on my best list, we have one of the first classic acts from a genre that is hardly old enough to have classic music. These two are still the originators of cool throughout their performance, and they are crispy, clean, and clear throughout their entire thing. The Rams are in the Super Bowl, and Snoop is full LA representation here. And when you get these two on the stage together, they are just the originators of what we consider cool today. Honestly, these are the guys that paved the way, man. Or at least, when they're at the Super Bowl, you would think that they were given the opportunity to feel like that for 15 minutes. And then you have some guests. 50 Cent was a little bit lower than the level of the rest of his peers. But don't take that the wrong way. It's just that I thought that Mary J. Blige was so wonderful at this Super Bowl halftime show. Not only did she have the outfit going on where she looked great, she looked amazing. Mary just commands the stage and goes absolutely insane. And by the time she's done performing, you just can't help but commend her, give her the little golf clap. And come on, man. Like I said, I'm not knocking 50 Cent. All the guests were just so awesome. They hit some vibes, big time. Number 7 on the best list. We even get some vintage Marshall. You know, we get some Eminem up in here. I mean, he's great. He's great. And this song is perfect for a Super Bowl performance. I just want to be the one. I'll be the white guy to say it. If you're the white guy in the room hanging out with all your black friends, it's cool to jam to the hip hop music with them. It's cool. Everybody can get down together. But you don't want to be... We're all here working on our art and just doing our music. Maybe don't be the one that brings up the political discourse as the white guy. So you know who was worse than The Who, though? So at number 6 on the worst list, we have Maroon 5 featuring Big Boi and Travis Scott. Honestly, I was really looking forward to Travis Scott's part of this performance. In the intro, obviously I'm showing it because it's honestly awesome as heck. SpongeBob, cool, this is great. Until right now. And then we got like this consistent Adam Levine problem going on. Although for a highlight, it's an Atlanta performance and Big Boi shows up. He's the embodiment of cool on this day, just like he's supposed to be. Like when you compare Travis Scott to Big Boi, you see the hip hop show done right and done wrong in the same performance. But there's just so much more bad than good going on here, even with Big Boi. And then, yeah, like Adam Levine trying to get the crowd. And he really only has one move to get the crowd. And then it devolves into this thing that it's just not what we want. At this point in the game, at this stage in American culture, we're just all over the Adam Levine act. Okay, we're done with it. So when it comes to the bad ones, I'll stop like torturing your guys' eyes and ears so much with the actively bad worst performance list. Number 6 on the best, we have a really great entrance and effort. I think Katy Perry has a great entrance and performance here. I think her stage changes and the way she captures multiple vibes here, she's getting it. The best list is getting more and more complete as we go on. There are some criticized parts of this performance, but I'm going to explain why I kind of think they're actually really charming. I love the bad parts of this performance, and we all know who I'm talking about. But before I talk about them, I want to talk about one of the coolest parts of this performance. Our professor of Pimpology 101 for the day. We got Lenny Kravitz showing up singing I Kissed a Girl in Your Girlfriend's Sunglasses. with, for me, like the guitar I would dream over in the catalogs. Shout out to my Guilty Gear fans. That's the guitar I'm always trying to get Eno's guitar to look like. But Katie sounds great. Lenny's cool as can be. And then she has another stage change, right? And then we have the shark that kind of goes rogue. But I think if you're going to do the Walmart summer aisle vibe, you need this guy. He's great. Like, I'm pretty sure he's not supposed to be there. And then look. She got my favorite rapper. Only problem with this is that Missy's mic is on like 2. And Katie's on 10. Anyway, before we move on, let's move on. So number 5 on the worst, we have Madonna's arthritis creaking around the stage for 12 minutes in a big old festival of grandma stop. She just does not get around very well. I know I'm slandering an icon, but hear me out. Madonna almost dies during this performance. I mean, goodness. Are we really going to act like this is what we want to see? This is really what we want? Then LMFAO and Madonna, I don't know what they do, but it's not great. Whatever it is, it's not great. I also want to give a L to Nikki while we're here. Nikki's bars are actually on point. She does a really good job. Just the thing is, she only has like 2 seconds of the performance. I just showed you the whole Nikki portion. No super bass. At number 5, we have Aerosmith and NSYNC. And look, this is number 5 on the best list. You got Aerosmith featuring NSYNC, and it's like the combination of pop and rock in the early 2000s. So shout out to Justin. He's here. And look, you just gotta understand, if you weren't alive in the 2000s, Bye 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 broke like all the records. NSYNC was cool at the time. And when we get the old guys out there, they ain't bumbling old guys. They're tight. They're performing well. I don't know how many years it would have been a great idea to get Aerosmith after this, but this was a great opportune moment to capture what a Super Bowl halftime show could be in 2001. Back on the worst list, we have what honestly is kind of in its own way the worst. Black Eyed Peas with will.i.am rocking the Robo Fade just really is actively bad for me. I remember when this happened live and they brought out Slash. I thought it was going to be good. It never got good. It's not good. Now, hear me out. If you've gotten this far in my video, just listen to my takes on the rest of the best. And the guy who invented the Super Bowl halftime show, as it is known as the spectacle that it is known for today, we have Michael Jackson himself. Michael Jackson, unlike every other Super Bowl performer, has the crowd in his hands from the moment that he comes out. They scream for like 3 minutes straight just for him standing there. And there will be no slander here. He's amazing. His dancing on another level than anybody else that is on the list. Period, point blank. But the performance is not to the caliber of the other ones above him throughout. It's as simple as that. When it comes to vocal and dance proficiency though, Michael is in a league of his own. And I just want to give Impact his credit because in a way, Michael Jackson cannot be ever topped. But you watch the entire performance and you tell me if you don't skip the Children of the World part. You just tell me. Tell me in the comments. When it comes to my 3 worst, at number 3, I have Rockin' Country Sunday. I can't help it. It's actively bad all the way throughout. It starts with the auctioneer voice. I'm good on it. So at this point in the list, we have gone pretty far low, and there is a high point towards the end compared to Madonna and the rest of Black Eyed Peas and you name it. But by this point in the performance, it's just too late. There's no saving this at this point. So what is better than Michael Jackson? Hear me out on this one. When we talk about entrances, only Michael Jackson and one other beat this. Baby, it's you. Baby, it's you. At number 3, we have Beyonce. Looking great. It's your girl, B. It's not your boy, Young. Here we have Beyonce's Angry at Jay-Z performance. She's in the black dress, she's in a revenge outfit, and Sasha Fierce is in full effect. Beyonce was billed as performing alone at this Super Bowl. Nobody knew who the special guest might be, and Jay-Z was definitely expected. Beyonce did get memed a little bit for some of the faces that she made while dancing in this one. But she's so on point this whole performance. Let's get it for the memers. Beyonce goes out with her girls and forgets about her man for tonight. And she does. She stays petty most of the night. One more time for the memers. But Beyonce really tells a story here, you gotta understand. She stays petty most of the night, but she brings it home. And keep in mind, Beyonce performed at Super Bowl 50 when my Broncos won it, and I could have put her on this list twice, and I didn't. This is just a standout. I think this is one of our finest performances from one of our finest performers. But when it comes to laughably bad, number 2 is something to roll your eyes at. I didn't want to do too many of the advertisement-like ones. And Patti LaBelle, hey, she's a star in her own right. I'm not trying to hate, but this is just some pure nonsense. You have, like, Indiana Jones going around with this fake Super Bowl trophy, and it's just, I don't know. Look, I said it's an ad, so what can you really say? But it's number 2 on the worst of all time. Only one is worse than this, because at least they have real musicians. So, with the way I fangirled over Beyonce, who could be my top 2? Listen, I am not a Lady Gaga fan. But you want to talk about entrances? Lady Gaga at number 2 of the best of all time. She jumped off the stadium. And that's her entrance. While not a personal fan of Lady Gaga's music, I stand this performance. Audience participation, check. Over the top, obviously, check. She just absolutely rocks it out. Her whole set list. I mean, there's no low points in this performance. Just the more she goes and goes, she just has this audience just absolutely wrapped. And she's great. I mean, she's on point. She rocks out with the instantaneous wardrobe changes. She's got her microphone stand man. She even hits the soft and tender spots. Can bring you to a single manly tear in this performance. Then as Lady Gaga comes out in her final outfit, she shows what I'm looking for in a Super Bowl halftime performance. You gotta go over the top. How many dancers has she hired for this performance? The appropriate amount of dancers have been hired for this performance. But look, if you're not convinced, look the way she ends her performance. Tell me she's not cool. So, I told you guys I wouldn't waste your time too much on the bad ones right now. But we are at our number 1s. I just want to cover the fact real quick that this is a standalone advertisement performance. And this ain't it. These aren't. These are not even musicians. These are actors. Even when we get real musicians out there, it's just a big audio conglomeration that just is actively bad to your ears. So Blues Brothers at number 1, worst of all time. This was enough years after Michael Jackson to where they should have had this figured out by now. So the number 1 has to be pretty obvious at this point. There's a lot of great performances, but you can't stage that. You can't control the weather. And you want to talk about one of our greatest performers ever at their best. We have at number 1 the best halftime performance of all time. Prince, 2007. You'll definitely never see somebody shred a guitar like this at the Super Bowl ever again. Not even to mention, there's never been rain at a Super Bowl before this, and they always play them in a dome now. While you could make the criticism of this performance that it did not have any big guest performances, it had the band, but also Prince did some very humble, non-self-promotional type covers. He did Proud Mary. He grabs a Fender Stratocaster and does a homage to Jimi Hendrix. And then a absolutely awesome cover of Best of You by the Foo Fighters. It's only Prince can pull this off, man. He's just the embodiment of cool for 15 minutes because that's what he's been hired to do. And so I don't think it can be stated just how great this moment is. We can talk about the guitars and just the overall swag, but when he grabs the Prince cymbal guitar and he lets his hair out of his wrap, cause you know it was up, cause it was raining, you know how it is. And when he says this, you have the greatest moment in Super Bowl halftime show history. So that's my list, and if you watch to the end, make sure you drop a like, subscribe for me. For more bad opinions, this is actually Amoongus, leaving y'all with the best crowd response in Super Bowl history.
Y'all wanna say goodnight? Come on! I can hear you! Come on!
Ladies and gentlemen, one of the greatest mic drops in all of history.